Kind of tells me what he's going to say. I'm like, I'm cool with it. I don't mind. But the amazing thing is, in the crazy world of His Excellency, Jack Cattrall's ended up landing a big fight on Riyadh season. Like, he got criticised. He snapped back on social media at Rick Reno. His Excellency thought it was hilarious. Not that close. I mean, there are conversations. There's a lot of hurdles to overcome. But if he's serious about the fight, and if it can get made, there's a very good chance we'll do it. He loves that stuff. He loves the drama. He loves the controversy. He loves the views. He loves the narrative. And anything where someone's creating a little bit of noise, he loves that.
He'll beat your A. Eddie Hearn issues brutal warning to Jake Paul at press conference. Eddie lays it out perfectly. Jake thrives on noise, clout, and controversy. That constant chase for attention is exactly the problem. He's chasing virality, not true greatness. Meanwhile, Eddie sees through all the hype, while Jake keeps acting like he's on a whole different level than he's actually proven in a real boxing ring.
I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake.
And Eddie isn't done. He doubles down even harder in the next clip. He's brutal and direct. Jake talking about fighting AJ is pure madness. Calling it a catastrophic mismatch is putting it lightly. Jake wouldn't even make it through the ring walk. Eddie's warning is clear. He's stepping into something way too dangerous. Joshua isn't a YouTuber. He's a world-class heavyweight who could end Jake quickly and painfully.
Crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say...
And Eddie pushes the warning even further when he's pressed again. This time, he softens the tone, but not the truth. He makes it clear, this fight shouldn't even happen for Jake's own safety. That's how huge the gap really is. Jake chasing AJ is delusion at its finest. Money or not, he'd get obliterated. Eddie's message is simple. Keep dreaming, kid. Reality hits harder.
He might have beaten Andre August, but it's still an impressive knockout. You know, I mean, if he goes in there and... Well, I think he looks like he's improving. I think he punches quite hard. But how that guy...
Let's keep the momentum going. Eddie moves from warning to analysis in the next clip. His tone shifts, but the message stays the same. Jake might get a little credit, but he's nowhere near elite. Eddie breaks it down like a seasoned promoter. Calm, measured, spotting the moments Jake fans hype up, yet fully aware of the massive gaps. He notes the knockout, the power, the improvement, but with that subtle smirk that says, relax, he's still a novice. Eddie is essentially schooling the room. Improvement doesn't equal legitimacy. And Jake's team should listen. Eddie's praise always comes with a reality check.
My personal opinion is that I don't think you're good enough to do it. If you do, wow, what an achievement. And I love your dreams. Dreams are beautiful. But you have to have the...
And just when you think Eddie's done being honest, he tightens the screws even more in the next clip. This is vintage Eddie. Respectful phrasing wrapped around a brutal reality check. He tells Jake straight, reaching the top level isn't about dreams or self-belief. It's about ability. And Jake simply hasn't shown it. Eddie's delivery is smooth, almost gentle, but the message hits hard. He's essentially saying Jake's ambition is admirable, but his skill isn't. That's Eddie Hearn's brilliance. He can bury you without raising his voice. He acknowledges the achievement if Jake ever reached that level, but everyone knows it's a fantasy. Jake's ceiling is low, and Eddie exposes it effortlessly.
People like him, you know, drive me to become the best version of myself. And so when I see the picture of wait till you fight a real boxer in my gym, it just motivates me to train harder every single day. And all of these people in the boxing industry who continue to doubt me, to continue to make excuse after I continue to raise my level of opposition, continue to perform, continue to get big paydays, continue to get knockouts of the year.
But Jake always finds a way to turn critique into a speech. And the next clip is no different. He slips into motivational mode, but it's the same lines he delivers before every fight. People doubt me, so I train harder. Eddie's heard this story from 100 prospects who never made it. Jake frames critics as haters, But these are real boxing minds who understand the sport far deeper than he ever has. Sure, he's improving. Sure, he's scoring knockouts. But his tone reveals insecurity more than growth. The more he talks about being doubted, the more it shows how much it affects him. Eddie knows it. Jake is chasing validation, not greatness.
And I do give him credit. He was the first one to realize, like, oh, there's something here with this influencer YouTube boxing, because we bring a lot of eyeballs. We do shit different.
And then Jake tries to flip the narrative completely, giving Eddie credit without realizing he's strengthening Eddie's position. He finally says something grounded, admitting Eddie was the first to recognize the YouTube boxing boom. But the irony is brutal. Jake thinks he's praising himself by praising the movement, but all he's doing is confirming Eddie's authority in the space. Eddie understood the market before Jake even put on gloves. Influence doesn't equal skill, and Jake keeps confusing the two. He talks marketing like it makes up for his limitations. Eddie's message has been consistent. Eyeballs don't make you elite. By trying to compliment Eddie, Jake only highlights the massive gap between someone who knows boxing and...
Eddie, what are you going to do with your...
The bet for real?
Yeah, the bet is for real, but I would just say that we'll sort that out. I want to talk about the fight. I don't want that to detract from a great fight, but you got my word on that, don't worry.
And once again, Eddie shows why he's the adult in the room, handling business while Jake chases headlines. Eddie's calm authority shines. While Jake thrives on chaos and noise, Eddie stays grounded in real boxing. His reassurance, "You've got my word," carries genuine weight, unlike Jake's loud promises. Eddie focuses on the fighters, the event, the sport itself, never letting drama overshadow what matters. It's the difference between someone who runs boxing and someone who wants to be seen in boxing. Eddie's posture, tone, and clarity show the gulf in professionalism. Jake wants the spotlight. Eddie wants results. That's why the industry listens to Eddie and only entertains Jake.
Katie Taylor will win this fight, and I honestly wouldn't take any bet if I didn't. But you know, we'll work that out between us privately. I'm not going to shy away from. I honestly believe she wins the fight.
And Eddie continues that controlled, confident energy in the next moment. He stays completely composed, the exact contrast to the circus Jake constantly brings. Eddie isn't hiding, dodging, or shifting energy. He's simply stating the truth as a professional. He makes it clear he wouldn't take a bet he didn't believe in, and that confidence speaks louder than any trash talk Jake has ever thrown. Eddie believes in his fighter and in his own judgment, and unlike Jake, he doesn't need theatrics to make his point. His tone is steady, firm, and seasoned, shaped by years with real fighters, real danger, and real pressure. This isn't bravado, it's experience speaking. When Eddie says, "I honestly believe she wins the fight," it lands with weight because his word actually matters in boxing. Not hype, or rate. Not noise. Actual credibility. Something Jake has chased his whole career but still hasn't earned.
I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul.
Fans won't like this, by the way, but
I don't like it
no,
either.
I don't like it either.
And that sets up the next clip perfectly. Now we pivot from Eddie's belief to what the boxing world sees coming. This clip doubles down on the reality Jake refuses to face. Even professionals outside Matchroom know he isn't built for the elite level. The speaker spells it out. AJ already dismantled Ngannou, a man with freakish power and real combat pedigree. So why would Jake Paul, with less experience and far less danger, survive what Ngannou couldn't? The logic is brutal and undeniable. Jake isn't a threat, he's an attraction. That's exactly why Eddie keeps warning him he's playing with fire. Everyone sees the mismatch, the payday, and the inevitable outcome. AJ flattening Jake and ending the influencer fantasy completely. The only reason people entertain the idea is money, not fear. That's the truth Jake's fans can't accept, and Eddie has been shouting it from the rooftops. This isn't a competitive fight. It's a financial event that would end violently.
I mean, sorry. This is the first time I've spoken about the fight. To be honest, like, I look at it and I think Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua. I mean, look, for me, we'd do it for the banter. Do you know what I mean? Like, AJ would fight Jake Paul. He'd fight anyone, to be honest with you. And if Jake Paul wants to step up and fight Anthony Joshua, he'll need the relevant insurance. But, you know, the only thing that was disappointing...
And Eddie continues reinforcing that message in the next clip, only this time, he goes even harder with the reality check. He strips everything back and tells it straight. AJ would fight Jake, but only because it's easy work. Not dangerous work. Not risky work. Easy work. What? Eddie even jokes about Jake needing relevant insurance, reminding everyone that stepping into the ring with a prime heavyweight isn't an influencer fantasy. It's a life-altering decision. His frustration shows when he mentions Jake saying, 2026. That's classic Jake Paul. Move the timeline, stretch the hype, keep the story alive. Eddie sees through it immediately. Jake doesn't want the fight now because deep down he knows he isn't ready. He's buying time, building buzz, manufacturing anticipation. AJ doesn't do that. Real fighters don't do that. Eddie is essentially calling Jake out for delaying the inevitable beating he'd take if he ever actually stepped up. That's why Eddie's warnings feel so real. They're rooted in genuine knowledge, not influencer fantasy.
People want to see entertainment. People want to see knockouts. I've always said I think Jake Paul could punch. So yeah, I think you have to stop knocking him. Really, I know he's fighting these guys, but he's still. You know, I think it's good for the ecosystem of boxing. Like, he's selling tickets, he's promoting the sport. It was an exciting performance. So yeah, I don't think.
And in the next moment, Eddie shifts gears again, giving credit where it's due, but still keeping Jake in his proper place. Eddie does what he does best, balancing honesty with diplomacy. He acknowledges Jake's power, his ticket-selling ability, and the excitement he brings. But even while complimenting him, Eddie frames Jake as an entertainer, not a legitimate boxer. He says Jake helps the ecosystem of boxing, which is a polite way of saying he boosts business, not skill level. That's the distinction Jake hates hearing. Eddie's praise is strategic. It keeps Jake relevant enough to sell events, but nowhere near respected enough to be truly a light. He even highlights fans wanting knockouts, showing Jake's appeal is spectacle, not substance. Behind every compliment is the same underlying truth Eddie has repeated from day one. Jake's success comes from marketing, not mastery. Eddie knows this influencer wave survives only because real boxing remains the foundation. Jake is surfing the surface while fighters like AJ live in the deep end.
Wouldn't move forward anyway. I've been hounded by the media all day about have you spoke to Jake Paul, this, that. Yes, I've spoken to Nikisa. We've talked over it and around it. I know the situation.
And in the final clip, Eddie ties everything together, revealing the behind-the-scenes reality Jake's fans never see. This is Eddie at his best, quiet, professional, and strategic. While Jake creates noise online, Eddie handles the business behind closed doors. He's not bragging, not hyping, not shouting. He simply states he's spoken to Jake's camp, knows the situation, and understands what's really happening. That one line highlights the full difference between them. Eddie deals in facts, Jake deals in headline. Eddie negotiates with real fighters, real stakes, and real consequences. Jake handles social media narratives and clickbait callouts. When Eddie says, "I know the situation," it lands because he's informed. He knows what Jake wants, what he fears, and what he can't yet admit. Eddie's tone shows he's already 3 steps ahead, planning moves Jake's team is only beginning to consider. That's why Eddie dominates boxing. He moves with knowledge, not noise. If you followed this breakdown to the end, you're exactly the kind of real boxing fan this channel is built for. Don't just scroll. Hit subscribe like Eubank G or hits opponents. Cold, calculated, precise? Turn on notifications so you never miss the next psychological breakdown, mind game analysis, or moment where we expose who's mentally built for war and who's collapsing under pressure. Drop a comment. Who steps into the ring with a stronger mind? Eubank Jr. or Connor Ben? Your opinion isn't just welcome. It's fuel for the next deep dive. This fight isn't just physical. It's psychological warfare. Stay tuned.